What does a white woman look like? Race and erasing in law. Race is also a legal issue. The racial identity of Cascani to see if her 1935 marriage to a white man was legal or not. Cascani wanted the legal case to uphold her racial identity as white so she could legally divorce her husband and collect alimony. The court's deliberations about racial identity are telling and reveal that there are significant costs to these constructed identities, including the fact that a person who looks white but is redefined as not white by the legal system loses many privileges and benefits. In significant ways, legal texts produce a narrative of national identity. The concept of justiciability can be understood as a set of rules determining what stories courts are allowed to tell and about who we are and who we can be. So here we see that there are privileges to whiteness, and whiteness is a type of property that can be won or lost. What does it mean to have a race or be a member of a particular race? And who has the authority to decide? The law has claimed for itself the authoritative license to tell the story of racial meaning in this country, whether by declaring a certain race of people the status of property. Race is a factor that may not be taken into account in the distribution of social goods or political rights because our Constitution is supposedly colorblind. The problem, only because it took us as given that looking like and identifying as a white person did not mean that one was a white person. But what does it mean to be white? If phenotype is not what racial identity means, then how do you look like a representation of racial identity? If so, a representation of what? Finally, who should decide to answer to any of these questions? The court rejected the reliability of Cascani's white looks and denied her the authority to declare her own race. Racial identity quickly reveals itself to be a metaphor, essentialized through the sign of blood. But how does one go about proving a metaphor? Given the great social significance and of investment in rigid racial boundaries, the court was not prepared to allow the conduct of some members of the community to bind the larger culture by permitting a kind of racial amnesty for people like Cascani who could pass. This case shows the authority of law to erase bodies through what misogynist discourse, autonomous in the sense that the legal meaning of race stands independent of and often in opposition to the social meaning of race. A person who is socially white can be declared legally black. The power to name oneself is fundamentally critical to any individual and to any civil rights movement. The state renders legally static that which must remain contested and fluid. The cultural contestation of racial meaning and identity must be reclaimed from government as a significant foundation of our struggles for racial empowerment. Empowerment requires not only that we demand what we want, but also that we define who we are.